branches in Peel and in Castletown are scheduled, at least, to shut in January. Whilst I know that this obviously doesn't perhaps directly affect your constituents, in a way it does, because people living certainly in Kirkmichael, towards the southern end of your constituency, are likely to be customers in Peel, especially.
Well, that's right. I mean, whilst most of my constituency looks towards Ramsey, certainly the Kirkmichael area very much looks towards Peel for its schooling, for its healthcare, and for its town centre services. And it's a huge blow for Peel and the West. And very, very disappointed to hear the decision from the Isle of Man Bank, which, of course, is it's a private business, and private businesses dance to the tune of their shareholders. So
well, on that note, what can government do? Because we've heard both Peel MHKs, both fellow ministers, say they're going to do everything they can to prevent vital services being lost, but the power isn't really in your hands, is it?
I think there's a couple of things, Dolan. The first is the Isle of Man Bank itself. Obviously, the name resonates very much with the history of the Isle of Man Bank, and it's a business that makes presumably a good commercial financial return from the island. So I would suggest that Isle of Man Bank should be thinking about its social responsibility to the island, and thinking perhaps slightly beyond purely its narrow profit and loss account in reflecting on its decision in Peel. And I suspect that it's going to be subject to a fair amount of lobbying, whether politically or from the people of the Isle of Man. And
it's not that long ago, of course, there was a branch in Kirkmichael, and residents there weren't very quiet about their opinions on that occasion either, when that was lost.
No, that's right. And people do value banking services and the convenience. It's inarguable that people's banking habits have changed, but there is a need, and there's particular need for businesses. Many things can be done online and through phones and iPads, etc. But particularly businesses need the ability to handle cash, and people also need either to be able to receive things like benefits through into the bank account, but then convert that into cash. Cash is still, it's a smaller part, but it's still an important part of the economy. So the Isle of Man Bank is the last bank standing in Peel. Castletown, it's not. There's another offer in there, but it leaves a huge gap. And when you read the letter from the Isle of Man Bank to say your nearest branch is 12 miles away in Douglas, that just doesn't resonate in the Isle of Man. That's a huge distance, and Isle of Man Bank is clearly controlled outside the Isle of Man, sadly, and I'm not sure they've really understood the depth of feeling that this will provoke. But it is a private business. But the second thing is about banking services per se. They absolutely need to be available to the businesses and the residents in Peel. And I think we've got a perfect vehicle in the Isle of Man Post Office that needs to be reflecting on the opportunity that this brings. And I would hope that the board and the management of the Isle of Man Post Office are reflecting on this and actually...
Is there a gap in the market there for the post office, do you feel? I mean, this is a topic that was very close to you prior to joining the Council of Ministers. Do you feel that's a gap that could be filled by the post office?
Potentially, yes. I think there clearly is a gap, and I think the post office is ideally positioned to actually step into that for all the reasons that I articulated back 2 or 3 years ago when I brought my motion about the future of the post office, where I feared the ongoing decline of the post office and the post office network. And we've seen that. We've seen continued branch closures of the post office network as part of the Post Office Board's clear strategy to reduce its footprint. We've still got a good size network across the Isle of Man, and I know particularly in Peel a very, very strong post office presence there. And I would encourage the Isle of Man Post Office to be and the sub postmaster in Peel to be looking at this as an opportunity and saying, okay, how can we step into this? I mean, I know that the post office has the capability of handling cash and transmitting that into people's bank accounts. I know they've got a very good foreign exchange service where they can both buy and sell that to customers, and they've got the infrastructure, the technology, etc., to really step into this. So to me, it's a great opportunity, and the job of the post office management team and the board is to find new opportunities. It can't just continue to shrink and cut costs, because that's the way to oblivion. And most importantly, there is a need. The post office is a publicly owned company. It's not a private entity.
There are still commercial interests, as there are with Isle of Man Bank. So what can government be doing to incentivise that, perhaps?
Well, the post office, is part of the public service. It's been an integral part. You saw it during COVID. Some of the great work that the post office staff and the post office network did through that period. It's different. The Isle of Man Bank is private. The post office isn't, and I think the post office board need to be reflecting on that.
Does that mean government can shape the future then? In that case,
yes, yeah. In my view, government certainly can, and if there is an unmet need for the people of the Isle of Man, then that's certainly something that government needs to reflect on.
You spoke about social responsibility. Is this a socially responsible government?
Absolutely, yes. I absolutely believe it is, and it's about meeting the needs of the people of the island, and I think government's really shown it's in tune with the people of the Isle of Man, particularly over the last few months with the COVID situation, and I think it's well regarded, we're living in very uncertain times. Government's had to show it can adapt to changing circumstances, and the circumstances are going to continue to change around us, and government needs to step in whatever way is appropriate to the circumstances. So certainly that's something that, as a member of the government myself, clearly, and as the Minister for Infrastructure, I'm certainly very mindful of, and we are here to serve the needs of the people of the Isle of Man. So that's about all their needs, and there's a gap emerging here. If Isle of Man Bank don't reconsider, then clearly there's a gap in the west of the island, affecting my constituency in Kirkmichael as well, and we need to be cognizant of that.